Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel of your favorite or soon-to-be favorite bookworm twink supreme. If you love books and if you want to see this twink talk about them, I highly suggest looking for this button and fingering it. Also, while you're down there, maybe click the bell, because if you click that bell, YouTube will magically notify you about when I post new stuff. It's free, it's friendship. I can't think of a better deal than that, you know? Just go for it. You won't regret it. I certainly hope not. So yeah, today I thought I would talk about my favorite horror books of 2021 because it's the end of the year and I've got things to be grateful for because I don't know if you know this about me. When I'm depressed, I don't like reading sappy romance or happy stuff. I don't want to be reminded about how amazing other people's lives are. I don't want to be reminded about how, oh, they ended up together in the end and you never have to go through life alone. Fuck that bullshit up the ass. No, I want to read about people in rather unfortunate circumstances, which is why I am a huge fan of the horror genre, and today I'm gonna be talking to you about the ones I liked the most that I read this year. And yeah, without further ado, let's begin. So the first book I want to talk about is 12 Nights at Rotter House, and this book is about a guy who is a travel blogger, I believe, travel writer, one of those things, and he's down on his luck and he has aspirations of writing a horror novel. And so he finds this haunted place called Rotter House and is able to convince the owner to let him stay there so he can perhaps get his mojo back, write a bestseller, maybe make some dough to like spice up his life and make things more interesting and easier, you know, whatever you need the money for. And he spends the time in this supposedly haunted house with his friend, and they're both very skeptical, and things start happening when they stay in this house. And so much more. I rarely describe horror books with this word, but I'm gonna use this word for this one because it deserves it 100%. And that word is poignant. This book came to me at a point in my life when I really needed it. I don't want to get into personal stuff, but yeah, this book hit hard. It hit harder than many other books did this year. I loved it so much. It means quite a lot to me, and it's probably my favorite horror book of all time. Who knows? I don't know. I just know that this book is incredible and I love it with my entire being. So the next book I want to talk about is Near the Bone by Christina Henry, and this book was one that I read completely on a whim. I saw my friend Gabby talk about it and she gave it 5 stars, and I wasn't necessarily reading anything that month that was too impressive, so I was like, a 5-star horror book? Sign me up. I gave this book 5 stars too. It's about this girl named Maddie, I think, and she lives in this remote house in the woods, in the snowy woods, with her abusive husband. And they live a very remote life, one that's very disconnected from the rest of the world. And as such, he gets away with a lot of this abuse, and there's really not much she can do because she's trapped essentially in this house and he doesn't allow her to leave. And one day, while the two of them are out hunting for food, they come across this cave, and in the cave are remains of animals that have accumulated there in such a way that tells them that there is a predator in the woods that isn't hunting in the way that animals normally do. And they suspect that this is a cryptid. So for those of you who don't know what a cryptid is, it's like a Bigfoot, Sasquatch kind of thing. And they suspect that one of these guys is lurking in the woods, killing their prey, and they decide to go after it. And so much more, so much more. This book has so many surprises. I was shocked. And one may think that this story is ripe for slashers and gore and blood and guts, but it's also got a really interesting metaphorical center to it that I didn't see coming, that I didn't expect. And by the end, this story could work either way. It could be either one thing or the other thing, but the way it goes from oh to whoa was like something that I was very impressed by, and I highly recommend it for that. So the next book I'm going to talk about is actually a manhwa, and manhwa is the Korean word for graphic novel. So in America you have like comic books, and in Japan you have manga. In Korea you have manhwa, and that manhwa is called killing Stalking, and this manhwa is like the best thing I never knew I needed. It was so good. It was so incredible. It takes the concept of love and spits on its face, and I was just like, I needed that right now, thank you. So we basically follow this young man named Yoonbom, and he gets infatuated with this other man called Sangwo, and it reaches to the point of obsession that he breaks into his house after stalking him for a long time and discovers that Sangwo is a serial killer who keeps women in the basement to kill and torture them. But before Yoonbom can escape, Sangwo captures him and holds him as prisoner. And this manhwa series is some of the darkest, most messed up shit I have ever read, and I absolutely loved it. It is horror that will chill you to the bone, and it has trigger warnings that would span the length of an entire book. If you have a faint heart and a faint soul, do not read this at all. But if you're into disgusting, messed up stuff like moi, go forth. So the next book I want to talk about is Pen Pal by Dathan Arbok, and this is one of the most dark and bleak and depressing books I've ever read. So the book Pen Pal is about this guy who's trying to recall certain traumatizing things from his past, and we get to have glimpses of the past, and when we find out what he is specifically recovering from, it is pretty messed up, and this book has one of the bleakest endings I have ever read, and this is a thriller that will bum you out. It's not going to make you feel good in any way, shape, or form. I don't want to give much away because this is a pretty short book, but it is a lot, and yeah. So After Pen Pal is a book that I will not shut up about, can't stop, won't stop, because this book has become my entire brand. And despite the fact that I openly talk about loving it so much, this is a book that I don't think I could ever openly recommend to someone because it is one of the most disturbing things I have ever read, and that is, of course, Survivor by J.F. Gonzalez. My love for this book knows absolutely no bounds. So we basically follow a woman named Lisa, and she is on the way to go on vacation with her husband, and some guy pulls them over and accuses them of speeding or something. Basically, he files a citizen's arrest, and the husband has to be put in jail over the weekend because he can't be arraigned until the judge comes in on Monday. So while he is in jail, somebody breaks into Lisa's hotel room and kidnaps her and tells her that she is going to be the star of his film, and that film happens to be a snuff film. For those of you who don't know what a snuff film is, it's basically this hardcore porn where they torture and kill the person who is being filmed, and she is like, I want nothing to do with this. And the book is called Survivor because we see what she does in order to save herself, in order to save her own life. Also, she's pregnant. So that's a thing that is in this book. So be warned, this is pretty messed up stuff that even I couldn't handle at points. Like, I was reading the book through splayed fingers, and it was awesome. Also, for somebody with a cold, dead heart like mine, the ending kind of made me, weep. Yeah, the ending got me. And it was just so good, and I loved it so much. And here's the thing, I couldn't believe this book was written by a man, because Lisa is one of the best female protagonists I have ever read from. It's so incredible how a story like this would treat her as this passive object to be victimized by men, but she refuses to be a victim. She refuses to play by the rules of these guys or by the world this story operates in. She is a fighter, she fights back. She's one of the strongest, most nuanced, most interesting female protagonists I have ever met, and I just love this book so much because of her. And yeah, great stuff. So the next book I'm gonna talk about is The Girl Next Door by Jack Ketchum, and y'all, this one is a lot. Okay? This book is based on a real life murder that had happened. I don't know, Jack Ketchum didn't really take many liberties beyond changing the names and backstories, because I researched on the actual case, and so much of what happened in real life happened in this story. It's just unimaginable. It is terrifying, but it's also so beautifully written. Please be careful if you choose to read this, because when I say it's a lot, I am not exaggerating at all. So this book basically follows this young boy, and he meets this girl who is his neighbor, and we learn that the young girl is an orphan and that she and her sister are living with their aunt and her aunt's kids, and the aunt locks one of the sisters in the basement and allows all the children in the neighborhood to torture her. So this is a great book, but it's also very heavy and it's also very, very dark, but it asks many important questions about like, what would you do if you were the bystander? It's incredible, but a very difficult read, but I loved it so much. And I think that Jack Ketchum is a very talented writer, and I really need to read Off Season. I really need to get to that book soon because I hear it's got cannibalism, which we love. So the final book I'm going to talk about is the one that I read most recently and fell head over heels in love with, and that is Exquisite Corpse by Poppy Z. Bright. And I read this book for a reading vlog, and I'm gonna link the vlog down below. Actually, I read a lot of these books for a series I did called Reading Most Disturbing Books. You've got part 1 over here, you've got part 2 over here, you've got part 2.5 over here, and you've got part 3 over here. So be sure to look at all these vlogs. I'm gonna link them down below. Hopefully you enjoy them because I sure as hell enjoyed filming them. So Exquisite Corpse is a book that follows several storylines. I'm not gonna dig too deep into the overall story, but we follow these 2 serial killers and these 2 other men. And this book is one of the most beautifully written I've ever read in terms of prose. It is very gory and very dark and has so many trigger warnings, you will be shocked. Trigger warnings for things like HIV and AIDS. I do love the commentary on that topic, but some may be sensitive towards it, so be careful before picking this book up. But if you think you can handle it, definitely check it out. And if you have read any other Poppy Z. Bright books, please recommend them to me because I would love to read more from this amazing author. And yeah, so that's gonna do it. Thank you so much for watching. Like and comment and subscribe. Share this video with whoever you might think could need some recommendations, I guess. I don't know. I hope to see you in future videos, but as always, take care.